Oh, good golly gee gosh, oh my god, dude. How can we go from one weekend of trials being just oh to holy shit in the span of a week? Let's talk about it. Now, in case you happen to live under a rock, or maybe you only play PvE or whatever, we are coming off the backs of one of the most successful Trials weekends of all time. Bungie debuted the new loot system with a new adjusted matchmaking pool and the ability to finally farm flawlesses and adept loot. And for the first time in what feels like actually ever in the history of Trials, the playlist felt accommodating to all players. It wasn't just for people with the 7 KDs who just hop on to bully little gyms just playing the Crucible for the first time, or doing carries for thousands of dollars, or whatever perceptions you have of Trials. For once, the playlist felt like it accommodated everyone and rewarded everyone fairly. If you were able to go flawless, you were rewarded with the chance to farm adept loot. If you couldn't go flawless, you could get to 7 wins and farm engrams. Regardless, albeit for what I still consider to be a very high cost, you could focus your Trials engrams into specific loot, and even specific adept loot for a small loan of $1 million, but that's a story for a different day. Regardless, the community feedback was overwhelmingly positive. Everyone was smoking the hopium. Everyone was just like, wow. So this is what it's like when Bungie caters to the PvP community, and everyone was ecstatic for what a second week of Trials could hold. And then the second week of Trials came, and Bungie announced they were going to be making some tweaks to the matchmaking pool. And suddenly, everyone seemed to forget how to think properly on Twitter. I don't know why I would expect that on Twitter to begin with, but it happened. We went from, oh my god, Bungie know what they're doing, they saved Trials, to, how dare they? Bungie are actively ruining Trials off the back of its most successful weekend. How could they do this to me? Which seems like a pretty egregious flip. And it is. So why did that happen? Well, Bungie made one simple change to how Trials works in this current weekend. Once you have gone flawless on any character, your count is now marked as a flawless player, and you are now put into an exclusive matchmaking pool of other flawless players. Basically, once you go flawless for the first time, you should in theory be playing only players who are able to go flawless, basically making the overall skill of that matchmaking pool higher, and allowing players who have not gone flawless to have a cleaner matchmaking pool, not so full of people who have gone flawless a million times and are the lords of the Crucible. That's the goal. What this did in actuality is make every single streamer who does free carries never want to actually go flawless, so they can stay in the quote-unquote easier matchmaking pool. So in effect, the non-flawless matchmaking pool is actually still full of some of the best players who are farming at non-flawless reset cards, so they can either do their carries or because they simply want to have the easier playlist. And for the players that do go flawless, you may also still run into those super flawless gamers. Like, it's kind of like the worst of both worlds. If you go flawless, you're going to have to deal with harder matchmaking. If you don't go flawless, then you're still dealing with a bunch of people who are just resetting at win 6, so in effect you still have a lower matchmaking quality, you're still dealing with harder matches. And all this begs the question, why would Bungie intentionally ruin Trials? Was Bungie seeking to ruin the fun? Did they want to bully every streamer on the platform? Some may say yes, but the answer may actually surprise you. No, it turns out these things are planned well ahead of time. This is what I imagine, and I stress I imagine, happened. Bungie had a game plan going into the season. Trials would roll out with the new system. That's what we got last week. It would have a new matchmaking pool, and they wanted to gauge community feedback to the new reward system, so it probably weren't focused so much on the matchmaking algorithm. Okay, we get through the first week, the reward system gets its feedback. For the most part, people enjoy it. Obviously, there's some concerns about the economy side of things, but again, different discussion. Now we move to week 2. Bungie wants to make the matchmaking experience the best it can be for players of all skill levels. That's always been the problem with Trials. How do you make the experience better for worse players and the best players? So Bungie go into this week with a plan. Let's make it this flawless matchmaking pool and see what happens. We need to gather data on what the best systems can be. So Bungie rolls out the flawless matchmaking pool. Everyone hates it, and I'm not disagreeing with that hatred. It's bad. So Bungie now have this data. Hey, week 1, people really liked the matchmaking. Week 2, people really didn't like the matchmaking. Maybe we should go with week 1. That's the point of data collection. Going into next week, we have the objective game mode in the Trials labs. That's another experiment. What happens when you throw an objective into Trials? You see what I'm getting at? Bungie wasn't trying to make Trials worse off the back of its best weekend. I don't think Bungie anticipated Trials last week being its best weekend ever. They're just trying to get the widest available set of information to make Trials the best it can be. So, can we just all, like, relax on Twitter, please? I get that it's just your instinct to be like, oh my god, Bungie ruined it, why would they do this? I'm having no fun, this is the worst weekend of Trials ever, Bungie burned it all down, why did they do this? I get that. But let's keep the feedback constructive. Just say the matchmaking's ass, and then either don't play, or play acknowledging that the matchmaking is ass. But we don't need the doomerism, like, it seems so unjustified. It's very clear from what Bungie have said that they are going to be open to the feedback. We have given the feedback. I don't believe Bungie is going to intentionally ruin Trials to spite us. You know what I'm saying? Anyway, I just thought I would get on here for a little bit and chop it up with you guys. Because watching the discourse over the last 48 hours has been exhausting. And it doesn't seem like many people are keeping a very clear view of things. So I thought I would just throw my hand in the mix. My name is Lionhearts. I stream occasionally. You can find me at the Twitch link down below. Probably going to be streaming Trials today against my better wishes, but you know, that's just what we do. Yeah. Good God, Twitter is a hellscape.